For more on the holiday content wars, we are joined now by Rich Greenfield. He's a partner at LightShed. Good morning to you, sir.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You've seen The Irishman.
I have not.
Oh, you haven't?
Today.
Are you going to watch it?
Going to watch it tonight.
This afternoon, this morning? It's apparently out.
It is definitely out. You can stream it right now, along with many other titles on Netflix.
And so what do you think the real impact of this is?
I think fundamentally this is just a sign that consumers, want to be able to watch what they want to watch, where they want to watch it, without the constraints of having to go to a theater. This is just so consumer friendly.
This is the first event film, if you will, in this space, right?
This is by far the biggest, most ambitious project that has gone direct to streaming ever in history.
Do you think this is the fundamental change in how this all happens in theater?
It's funny, actually. I think what the fundamental change, actually, in many ways, was the fact that movies like Bird Box did so well. Lady and the Tramp, which has been horribly reviewed by critics, is one of the top 5 things streaming on Disney+. I think the takeaway is consumers love an incredible price value, right? Like, you're paying for a streaming service and you get a brand new movie at no incremental cost. And I think that fact that Bird Box could do as well, that Lady and the Tramp could do as well, I think it's going to encourage more and more filmmakers to go direct, like Scorsese's doing with The Irishman. He's going to reach more people with this film than he ever would have reached in a movie theater. Okay,
I want to show you a little bit of tape just for 1 second.
Sure.
This is the DealBook conference. You were there.
Yes.
So you saw this at the DealBook conference earlier this month. I asked Netflix's CEO Reed Hastings about the prospect of the streaming giant buying a theater. This goes to our conversation.
Well, you could buy a theater or two, but we're not in the business of theaters. We're in the business of pleasing our members on a global basis. And so when we produce a great film like Two Popes or Marriage Story or Irishman, we want to get it out to our members. And that's what really drives us. And again, personally, we love theaters. I watch a lot of movies in theaters. It's a different experience. It's nice to have a crowd, especially when it's a comedy or horror, like that scare thing, if you got a good audience. So we don't mind theaters, and really, we're fine with theaters. It's just that they want an exclusive window, which would delay our release on Netflix. So that's the one, if theaters want to carry Netflix films once they're on Netflix because people want to go out for the group experience, that's great.
Okay, so they just, by the way, bought a theater in Paris, leased a theater in Paris, and that question was an informed question when I asked it because I was hoping he would actually maybe tip us off to what was about to happen. But my question is whether you think that by going after this movie strategy, that what they're also trying to do is put pressure on the theaters to close the window.
Look, they fundamentally changed how you watch television, right? The binge releasing was something 7 years ago that everyone thought was absurd in the industry. Right. Now it's what consumers crave, and they get frustrated when they can't binge watch something without ads at a time. I think what Reed's trying to do, what Netflix is trying to do, is to alter how people think about going to the movies, and they're going to push that window shorter and shorter. And I think when you look at what Disney Plus, 10 million on day one, probably heading towards 20 million plus by the end of the calendar, by the end of 2019. There's a point, right? There is some number of subscribers where Disney goes, wait, why are we putting this in theaters and giving half the box office dollars to the theater? They make money on popcorn. Why don't we just put the movie on Disney Plus, especially not successful movies like Maleficent? You just showed a clip of, some of their big movies like Frozen, but a movie like Maleficent 2 failed. Right. Why wait 6 months for that to be on Disney Plus? Why is that not on Disney Plus today? I think windows are going to close.
But that's a fast fail. You saying if it's not working, immediately put it on the...
Sure. Why wait and then reboot the marketing 6 months later, to put it out on streaming?
Hey, Julia?
Just have to point out, though, that Disney, of all studios, is the one that wants to preserve that window between when movies come out in theaters and when they're available on home entertainment, because they have it all figured out. I mean, Disney has over 30% the domestic box office, another 5% if you include Fox here. So Disney is the one that really wants to have the biggest window possible between when movies are out in theaters and they're available at home. But I also have to say, just in response to what you're saying with The Irishman, that Netflix really uses their theatrical releases as marketing. And The Irishman is not a typical movie. It's not not even a typical Martin Scorsese movie because it's 3 hours and 40 minutes long, which is impractical not only for moviegoers, but also for movie theaters. There's this whole thing about how movies that are over, say, 2.5 hours long just cannot perform as well at the box office because they can't squeeze in as many showings. And a lot of people like myself just wouldn't be interested in sitting in a theater for 3 hours and 40 minutes as much as I want to see that film. So I think what Netflix is doing is, in a way, giving Martin Scorsese flexibility with the format, because many people will watch it in half-hour chunks, or they'll binge the whole thing as if they're watching a whole series of a TV show at home. But I think that Netflix's ownership of the Egyptian Theater here in Los Angeles and its lease of the Paris Theater in Manhattan are really about creating these marketing opportunities and destinations for premieres, which are really for their filmmakers as much as anything else.
I also think from the standpoint of they still want to win awards. You know, Hollywood's all about two things, right? Making money.
Right.
Well, and I think being in a theater is a way you get nominated for an Academy Award, so it ensures distribution, which is important to the award side of the business.
Very quick Disney question, because I know you're so gangbusters on Disney.
Look, they've done a great job with Disney Plus.
My question is what you think churn is going to be like on Disney. And the reason I mention it is because they have some content, but actually not a lot of content, actually, ultimately, when you really go through it, especially for kids that have seen a lot of the movies previously.
Look, I think when you look at what Kevin Mayer did, he was able to get a tremendous amount of the Disney Channel content library onto the service. I see my kids, the 12-year-olds, bombing through the old Hannah Montana episodes. Now, there aren't, like Friends, there are not 10 seasons and hundreds of episodes. So the question is as you burn through the Disney Channel library, there isn't a lot of originals.
Although now, they are going to be, they're doing more and more all the time, that it's still kind of the churn in the wheel that's out there.
They will, but the question is, it really is for a kid. You know, like this is really not, I mean, you can watch The Mandalorian, there's, you know, 3 episodes up that are 35 minutes each. There is not a lot for the 4 of us to binge through on Disney Plus. It's really for kids. And so I think it'll be very sticky for people with young families. I think for older families, the question is going to be really for Disney. Every investor is thinking about, is Disney, the success they've had to date, does that mean that they're going to have a lot more subscribers than everyone thought? Or are they just simply getting to their subscriber max far faster? And do they get all of those subs in one quarter? And does next year actually prove a lot harder? That's the unknown question right now. It's just how big is the TAM for this service?